The main event this Friday at the 18th Anniversary pay-per-view, ROH, who just claimed the Ring of Honor World title back from PCO, he quick turnaround because he's going to defend it against our guest joining us on the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline. He is Mark Haskins. You can follow him on Twitter at @ThisIsHaskins, one of the great young stars of Ring of Honor. Mark, how are you, man?
I'm doing fantastic, mate. How are you?
I'm doing well. Now, are you still in the UK, or have you made your way to Las Vegas?
No, I'm still UK based. So I'm going to be flying out at 4 p.m. tomorrow. I think I'll land about 8 p.m. Vegas time, and then I'm straight out the frying pan and into the fire as I've got ROH the next night. So I'm coming in fast and furious, man, and it's a bit of a roller coaster, but it makes life entertaining.
It sure does. Now, where in the UK are you?
So I'm in a small little town called Malvern. Literally no one has ever heard of it, and that's kind of the way I like it, really. Like, I like to disappear to a quiet corner of the world when I'm not under bright lights and being thrown around a ring by men in their pants.
I understand. I come from a very small town here in Texas, so I get what you're saying. So let me ask you this. So you debuted in 2006. That was your first match. Is that correct?
Yeah, 2006. Yeah, so I've been doing this gig a while.
You have, and that's one I wanted to ask you, because you're still only 31 years old. But is it hard to fathom the fact that you've been doing this for 14, almost 15 years?
I mean, it's pretty crazy, especially when I look back at like my career, and especially with a lot of these younger kids that are coming into the business nowadays. It's genuinely terrifying, because it makes you feel a lot older than 31 might initially sound, right? Like there's a young wrestler in the UK called Millie McKenzie. She's on shows now. She was only 3 years old when I started training to be a pro wrestler. So and now she's like a fully grown person on the same shows as. So it's pretty mental. The years add up quick, that's for sure.
I get what you're saying. I, of course, do broadcasting in other sports, and I see, for instance, I do high school football, American football, high school football here in Texas, and to see kids that are, that played in high school football and now they're in the NFL, playing for whoever, it's hard to fathom. It's like, hey, I knew them when they were just this, this ornery little, scrapper of a kid, in small town Texas or whatever. So I get what you're saying. When you got into wrestling, who was your biggest influence?
I don't know. I had quite a few across the years. I mean, one huge influence for me was it was actually a friend of mine. He suffered from cerebral palsy, but he was the one who got me involved in wrestling in the first place. I remember he brought around a VHS when I was only 9 years old, and I fell in love with it ever since then. So I guess kind of one of my biggest influences isn't anybody wrestling specific at all. It's somebody, the polar opposite of that. He was my best friend growing up, and I always felt like I wanted to chase his dream because I knew that he couldn't. So I was kind of taking that burden on for the both of us.
Yeah, I can imagine talking with Mark Haskins, Ring of Honor star. He's getting ready to challenge for the world title at the 18th Anniversary pay-per-view in Las Vegas. Let me ask you, you mentioned about, when you're not throwing guys in tights around anything, when you are away from, when you're not wrestling or doing training or doing PR or whatever, when you just have time to yourself, what is it that you do that kind of gets you, kind of let you escape? Because, I know a lot of guys, a lot of wrestlers are gamers, and they're into anime, they're into this, that. Is there something that you dive into to kind of take your mind off of the ring?
When I'm not doing PR or training or wrestling, I'm usually asleep. So that's pretty much it. I mean, like, I'm a family man. I got 2 kids. My son Jack, he's 7. My daughter Lily, she's 4. So they're at this stage where they're lively. They want to play, and it's great to have a dad who's a pro wrestler, because as I've discovered, they might watch one of my matches, and if they see me getting beaten up, they'll get upset, and they're like, "No, that's my daddy. Leave him alone." But the second that I'm led on the floor, they'll just run over and double stomp the holy crap out of me. So, it's okay when they do it, but it's not okay when anybody else does it. So when I'm not getting beaten up by my kids or any of the other hats I have to switch between on a day-to-day basis. I'm just resting and getting ready for the next day.
I understand. Do you follow other sports? I know some people, whether it's soccer or football or basketball or whatever. Do you follow other sports? Is there one that you like to watch when you get a chance?
Not religiously. I'm a fan of boxing and MMA, so
Okay.
I might sort of like try and keep up to date with something like that. But a lot of the time, it's just trying to find new things to better myself. Like I love sort of personal development and finding new skills and learning new things and reading new books and all these kind of things, just to try and be the sort of the best version of myself really that I can be. So yeah, I don't follow sports teams or anything like that too much. I'm usually too busy trying to better myself in some other way.
Right. Is there something you've taken on recently, a new skill or something that you started looking at recently?
No.
Okay.
Nah, I've been working hard, man. I've had a lot of international flights, so I'm reading a few books. One at the moment I'm going through is Talk Like Ted, which is an interesting one, and then one that I've got lined up after that is The Rules of Thinking.
Okay.
So it's it should be pretty interesting. Like I'm very intrigued into sort of like the psychology of things and how the brain works.
Talking with Mark Haskins from Ring of Honor here on Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. Before we get into Ring of Honor, I know that you at least have been active, and I would suspect you're still active on the independent scene there in the UK. How important is that to you? How vital is that independent scene in the UK to you and to the wrestling scene overall?
Oh, well, of course. I mean, of course, it's important to me. It was a place where I started out. It was a place that gave me my first few chances. And if it was the case that you could make a full-time living in the UK and make, the big money that you can make elsewhere in the world, then I feel like people wouldn't feel the need to have to relocate or travel elsewhere. We're very fortunate that the UK scene now is a very different place to what it was when I started out in 2006. You can make a full-time income now in the UK, and it's been amazing to be a part of that process and see how it's grown from being what it was into what it is now. And I hope it just continues to blossom and grow to everything that it could be.
You've been in Ring of Honor. You wrestled your first Ring of Honor match in 2017. You signed with the company in late 2018. Do you have like a highlight or a moment or two so far in Ring of Honor that just really stays with you, that you consider kind of a high moment in your career?
Madison Square Garden would definitely be one of those. I've been super fortunate over the past year. We got to wrestle in the Garden where was it, Supercard this time last year. That was such a cool experience, especially getting to be in the ring against Bully Ray as well, in that venue. So that was a awesome experience for me. Another cool thing is getting to go to Las Vegas. I'm there again this Friday, so I'm super pumped about that. It's one of my favorite places to travel to and to just kind of get out and explore, really. So I'm super pumped for that.
I will admit, I was there for G1 Supercard last year. That was a highlight for me, not only as a wrestling broadcaster, but as a sports broadcaster. That's to be able to cover a wrestling event in Madison Square Garden. I know how important it was for a lot of you guys. I talked to Shane Taylor a lot. I know how important it was to him and you guys, and it was important to me as well. And it was such a phenomenal moment to see that. Let's talk about your match this Friday. By the way, Ring of Honor 18th anniversary this Friday night. It's at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. You can get it on pay-per-view, Fight TV, Ring of Honor Honor Club. You'll be coming from Sam's Town Casino there in Las Vegas. You are facing Roosh, the now two-time Ring of Honor World Champion. What's your scouting report on Roosh?
Well, man, he's the bull, right? He likes to go in there. He likes to go, head down and full throttle. And it just so happens that that's how I love to wrestle. So I'm super excited for this weekend, man. It's great. It's really odd because it was this time last year. I think it was literally Roosh's second day in the in the company, we wrestled each other in Las Vegas, and here we are just a year on, and we're in the main event of a pay-per-view wrestling for the Ring of Honor Championship. It's mad to see how far we've come. It's mad to see that we had this match this time last year. We can make it a regular thing. Do you know what I mean? Make it an anniversary each year. We just fight each other and see how much further we've come in that year.
I think I'd be okay with like a long series of matches with you two. You two seem to work
a best
really well.
of 5, but once every year.
Sure, so, why not?
Be a 5-year program.
Now, how concerned are you about La Facción Ingobernales? Because they're going to be lurking around with Dragon Lee and Kenny King and Amy Rose. They're going to be lurking around. Do you have a contingency plan for them?
Well, my wife's a bigger psychopath than all of them combined. So, if I need some help, there's only one person who I'm calling.
All right. Oh, there we go. You got to look to family, right?
Right. That's what I'm talking about.
Before I let you go, you're also set to compete in the tournament to crown a new Ring of Honor Pure Champion. And this is a prestigious championship held by some of the best names that ever came through Ring of Honor. What are your thoughts on the possibility that you could obtain that title as well?
I am so excited about it, and especially excited at the thought of being a Ring of Honor World Champion in the Pure Championship title tournament. I'm super pumped. I'm dreaming big, and I'm seeing dollar signs. So I'm super excited about the next few months here in this company.
I tell you what, it is getting really exciting in Ring of Honor. I talk to Kerry Silken every now and again. I know how excited he is. And I know, I can hear it in your voice how excited you are for what's coming up. And that will start this Friday, Ring of Honor's 18th anniversary. Can you believe Ring of Honor 18 years now in existence? How great is that Ring of Honor has been able to keep to a level that, they call themselves the best wrestling on the planet, and it's been hard to argue that. How significant is that Ring of Honor has been able to keep this momentum going for 18 years?
It's awesome, man, and it's been great to see them go from strength to strength. Do you know what I mean? It's they've had some ups and downs along the way, like any good story does, and I'm super excited about the direction that the company's heading in. There's been some big changes. There's been some huge changes behind the scenes. Right now, the feeling throughout the entire company, like there's genuinely not one person who I haven't spoken to whose goal isn't to make Ring of Honor the very best that they possibly can. Everybody's super pumped. Everybody's super excited. Everybody's got their heads down and willing to work hard. And when you have a roster of some of the very best wrestlers in the entire world, you can't help but feel that there are exciting times ahead. There's exciting matches to be had. And it's going to be an insane journey over the next couple of months, over the next year or so, and maybe even longer than that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to every step of that journey. He is Mark Haskins. Follow him on Twitter at @ThisIsHaskins. He will be challenging Roosh for the Ring of Honor World Championship this Friday at Ring of Honor 18th Anniversary. You can catch it on pay-per-view, Fight TV, or Honor Club at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central from Sam's Town Casino in Las Vegas. Mark, it's great to talk to you. Enjoyed the conversation. All the best to you. Safe travels to Las Vegas and back, and hope to connect with you again real soon.
Thank you, man. You too.